We want Persona on Switch, Persona 3, 4, 5, 5R, anything. You want your voice heard? Then speak up. Hashtag break free Persona. Let's get it trending. Let's tell Alice what we want and what we need as fans and everything. Let's.
Hello, fellow Megatenists. Welcome back to another episode of Fusion Accidents. Today we have to talk. I want to talk to you guys about hashtags. Consider this an addendum to my port begging video, and without further ado, here we go. If you're acquainted with Twitter and other forms of social media, hashtags serve as a medium to convey or share ideas, sort through information, and also spread memes. Lately, there has been a bit of a habit in Western fans to create hashtags. The first major one was hashtag Persona 3 Remake, a coordinated effort to get Persona 3 trending on a day of relevance to the game in question. And this hashtag was very well coordinated, with rules and guidelines to guarantee a tame and polite command for attention. Rules call for no harassment and no threats to anyone. The success of this hashtag was so great that even IGN had to chime in regarding it. The next hashtag was hashtag BreakFreePersona, only 17 days after the first hashtag. This was started by someone going by Fidel on Twitter as a direct response to an interview with Atlas West staff, who says, "You want what you want, and if you don't let us know it, we're never going to be able to make it. It's important to always voice your opinion and keep telling us what you want." So here, the idea for getting something trending is still there, but there aren't any real rules or forewarning or even planning, as his tweets calling to action were just a knee-jerk reaction to the statement by Atlas West. Interestingly, the Fidel video only mentions Persona 3, 4, and 5 to be ported to the Switch, and from my review of the hashtag, less than 10% of the tweets in total make reference to 1 or 2 or even any other game besides Persona 4, or 5, or 3. So this too blew up and began to trend, and like the previous hashtag, it still gets used to this day. The final hashtag we'll be discussing is Persona Positivity. This one was made 9 days after Break Free Persona. This one focuses on the positive ways Persona has affected someone. This was started by someone going by Overlord of Simps and Zap. Now this brings me to the reason why I'm talking about this. Fairly recently, Persona Positivity has been hijacked. Mostly this has been a thing since the hashtag was popularized, but this sort of thing is kind of normal for a popular thing to get blowback, especially when it's a Persona 5 thing. People generally like to troll, and there's many different fandoms and sects that generally don't like Persona 5 for some reason. The strange thing is that it worked for a bit, and it got me thinking, what's the point of these? And will this trend ever result in something truly positive? With Break Free Persona, the worst named hashtag, by the way, it really sounds like you're trying to say break away from Persona rather than break Persona free. So it's already off to a bad start because, it's poorly worded. But this hashtag took place where my complaint in the original video came from, which was the idea of spamming official accounts to beg for things. But now it's also a weapon and an excuse to just spam anyway because Atlas West told us to spam. The spamming got so bad it bled into Atlas Japan, where any and all posts get barraged. I posted about my dislike for this behavior, and it caused some discourse in the way Break Free Persona was being used. Fidel didn't really discourage or dissuade any of the negative ways that people were doing it. He just kind of claimed ownership of it. He made sure that we knew that he was the reason why it existed. Why is this a problem? Or why is it worth complaining about? The hashtag keeps being used, and it's negatively affected the perception of Western fans to Japanese fans. Here's some examples, actually. In this tweet, this person says, "Switch out Persona 5. Overseas fans asked for a P5 port." On Twitter, hashtag BreakFreePersona. "Won't the Switch get SMT5? If you want to do Persona 5, then just buy a PS4. It's impossible to do with the Switch's specs." That tweet actually links a forum where most of the replies in regards to this hashtag are not kind. Many just express frustrations with the Western fans always demanding things and ignoring everybody else's wants, needs, or logic. Many try to reason why the Switch won't be effective. This user uses their experiences at a very popular store, Tsutaya, and another popular store, Geo, saying, "As I saw earlier when I went nearby Geo to receive a special edition for Persona 5 Strikers, Geo had already sold out of the PS4 regular version. For Tsutaya, there's only 2 more copies of the PS4 version of Persona 5 Strikers, and however, the Switch version was very abundant in stores. Clearly, looking at the sales for Persona 5 Strikers, the stats here, according to Famitsu, reported the sales numbers for the new game in its first week of release. Persona 5 Scramble sold 115,000 units on the PS4 and only 46,000 units for the Switch. This accounted for a grand total of 162,000 units sold in its first week on the market. The PS4 version accounted for 71% of the total sales, while the Switch version only contributed 29% of the total sales. If this trend is any indication, then that means we could expect much of the same in the West. This would mean that potentially porting the games to the Switch will not boost the sales in a dramatic way. It'll boost the sales, but in a way that we cannot necessarily quantify as being worth the effort, because porting isn't as simple as pushing a button. This would mean that the hashtag is just an ego stroke. It's nice that it's there, because now we can see that there's many people, around 40,000 people, who are excited for a potential port of Persona 3, 4, and 5. But how does that get us anywhere? Atlus has already consistently mentioned that they are developing games with its core Japanese fanbase in mind, and even as of P4, they stated this when asked about developing with the Western audience in mind. If we want to win the approval of overseas users, then in the end, I don't think there's any other way than to analyze what parts of P4 overseas users like. I would like to continue developing games while being more conscious than ever about overseas users. This is evidence that they do consider what we want and feel when developing games, at least as of Persona 4, and this sentiment has kind of been stated in interviews for Persona 5 as well. So possibly the hashtag could be a benefit in delivering the message, but it's a gamble. How much does the metric of 30,000 or so tweets affect the decision of a company whose game sold more than 400,000 units in Japan alone? I mentioned earlier that Atlus cares about the West, and one way they displayed this was a survey, similar to the annual one Atlus Japan does. In February 2019, this survey included everything from desired ports to what games you enjoyed from the series or the franchise. I'd understand this sort of spam, but they've given us an official outlet. If we don't like that, then a hashtag like Persona Positivity is much better. It only spreads good, and while it has been memed and hijacked, it's a shame that something good in the community has attracted some toxicity. That's always been the way with things on the internet, unfortunately. With that being said, in conclusion, the phenomenon of community hashtags can be terrible, like Break Free Persona, or it can be wholesome and good, like Persona Positivity. And while there's a small chance that this sort of viral communication can influence Atlus's decisions, it's ultimately futile. While Ari's words were vague in how she stated them, there's many ways to interpret and maybe focus on positive interactions that could influence Atlus in a positive way. Maybe make great art and use the hashtag, make a good cosplay and use the hashtag, maybe make some good food and use the hashtag. These sort of things get retweeted by Atlus West anyways when you use the hashtag AtlusFaithful. So if you use multiple hashtags, especially one that's specific about porting, then all you're doing is spreading the hashtag in a positive way that doesn't necessarily inundate or confuse or harass anyone. So Atlus West and Atlus Japan and the fandom and news outlets are all listening. We just need to ask rather than demand. And also don't forget to include games besides Persona 3, 4, and 5 when you ask for ports, because there's many other good games in the franchise. That's it for now. Goodbye, fellow Megatenists.